Honorable members, prayer. Almighty God, we humbly beseech you to bring favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in our sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and that good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, please, I want to reiterate the issue of physical distancing. There is good reason why we said 1/3 of membership to be on the floor. And so make use of the empty seats. We don't want to be talking about the numbers in the House, but it's not encouraging at all. Whether you are part of leadership or you are backbenchers, please, physical distancing. I want to vary the order of the business as it has been captured on the order paper. We should have a message from the President. Honorable members, I received a message from the President, and I'll read it as it's been presented to me. It's a letter dated 1st February 2021. Dear Clerk of Parliament, I refer to the letter of the President of the Republic dated 21st January 2021, addressed to the Right Honorable Speaker, reference OPS 02/1/40, by which the names of the persons the President intends to appoint as ministers were translated. Of the following ministers designate for the youth and sports and OT region, respectively, were inadvertently written as 1. Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, MP, instead of Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, MP, and 2. Joseph Makubu, instead of Joshua Makubu. We are therefore withdrawing the earlier letter. Please find attached a letter indicating the correct full names. Please accept the President's best wishes. This one is signed by Nana Bidiotu Asante, Secretary to the President, addressed to the Clerk of Parliament, Parliament House, Accra. Attention, Mr. Cyril Kwabena Oteng Insian. Honorable members, the list attached simply captured the earlier names with the corrections are just read by me. So the only difference is for the Appointments Committee to properly capture the names of Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, is that the Yusuf is properly spelled as U-S-S-I-F and not Y-U-S-S-I-F as earlier submitted. Clearly, Joseph Makubu is different from Joshua Makubu. The proper name is Joshua Makubu. And so Appointments Committee should take note, do the necessary corrections as presented earlier on. The rest of the names are the same, and I don't think it's necessary for me to go over them again. We will move to item 3. Yes?
Mr. Speaker, respectively, before you move to item 3, I presume that what you have read, which essentially is correction to the Ministerial President Nana Addo Dankwa, is the only official communication you have from the office of the President. Mr. Speaker, may I with respect refer you to Article 89 of the 1992 Constitution, because there is some publication in the media, particularly social media, of the Communication Officer, Office of the President, Eugene Ahim, purporting to announce the appointment of members of the Council of State in accordance with Article 89 of the Constitution. The Speaker, ideally, he works for the executive, but we want to caution that Parliament must be the forum, and indeed the first forum, where these formal announcements are made. Particularly so with regard to Article 89(2), and with your indulgence, I quote, The Council of State shall consist of A, the following persons appointed by the President in consultation with Parliament. In consultation with Parliament. A shared responsibility. It does not vest only in the President the power to appoint, that he must do so in consultation. One, today as we have read, no formal communication from the President, yet there is announcement in the air. We can follow those announcements in the air. So the President handlers must be put on alert that with Article 89, it's a shared responsibility between the President as Executive President and Parliament as a House. Therefore, when you go through the detail, I see the President exercising his power under 89D, the 11 members. So, Mr. Speaker, Ahin and Co. and the President Secretary must make sure that before they go to the media, you are officially notified for purpose of this House to know those important decisions the President is taking, so that the President can work with us and work with Parliament as a House. I think that the right to go to the media and social media, even to advertise and announce what is not formal, itself is not helpful. I'm not interested in those who suffer heartbreaks when they don't see their names, and those who suffer heart attacks, not that. But they must respect the institution of Parliament and your good self, so that we are not reading from one Eugene Ahin. We are hearing it formally from Mr. Speaker as official correspondence from the President of the Republic, because Council of State have a role to counsel him. We should know those who are counseling him, so that we can assess whether they will be giving him good or bad advice. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, much as I share the plight of the minority leader, the rules of the House are clear on communications to you and to the House, as stipulated under Order 51. With your kind permission, I will read. Communications from the President to the House shall be made to the Speaker by written message signed by the President, or, in the absence of the President, by the Vice President or a Minister acting of the President. Mr. Speaker, the leader, my good brother, Honorable Harry Najus, the minority leader, raised issues with regards to Article 89. And there are two segments in that provision, even three, that are relevant to his apprehension. 89.2 deals with category of persons that the President must appoint in consultation with your good self and the House. And 89.2D were the names that he's seen that the President has released to the public. And they are not within the category of persons that the President ought to consult the House on. Plus the nominee or the President of the National House of Chiefs. They are procedural steps that the President ought to follow. And I don't think the release that the leader so mentioned is affected by any of the provisions in the Constitution. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable.
Most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I draw attention to the House and to, in particular, my honourable colleague who just spoke, that a careful perusal of the statement issued by Mr. Eugene Ahin includes the category that he just spoke about. And Mr. Speaker, if you the second paragraph, after he listed the names, the 11 names under 89.2b, Mr. Eugene Ahin proceeds to speak to the category 89.2a. And I read, with your permission, Mr. Speaker. The President, subject to consultation with Parliament, has also appointed, in accordance with Article 89.2a, II, and III, Georgina Theodora Wood, a former Chief Justice, Lieutenant General J.B. Dankwa, a former Chief of Defense Staff of the Armed Forces, and Nana Owusu Insia, a former Inspector General of Police, to the Council. The President of the National House of Chiefs, Oji Aboho Yao JB II, is ex officio a member of the Council in furtherance of Article 89.2b. So, Mr. Speaker, the honourable colleague should have read this. I probably didn't see this this aspect of the statement, and I think that the concerns of the leader of the NDC caucus is legitimate, is well grounded. We should not be treated as a house that is where matters are discussed in the open media before it gets to us, especially when the provision is that in consultation. One wonders if these consultations have taken place and who in Parliament was consulted when leadership of the House has no idea about this consultation. I think that we can be neater and tidier and more respectful of the arms of government as we go about these high matters of state. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I know.
Mr. Speaker, minority leaders' concerns, in my view, bring to the fore two matters. One, he contends that there must be formal communication to Parliament before some of these things get out into the media. Two, he raises the issue of consultation. Mr. Speaker, not too long ago, the argument on the floor of this House has been that whether or not we will yield to strict rules or would give way to our practices and conventions. I'm not one of those who has been in the House for many years. But Mr. Speaker, I do recall that in past situations where such a provision had to be triggered, the practice of the convention has been a certain level of engagement at your level. So, Mr. Speaker, perhaps, unless colleagues would want to find out from you, which I think should not be the case at this moment. But obviously, if there should be consultation, the practice has always been that Mr. Speaker, and all that, Mr. Speaker will be in the know. In any event, is the consultation so to mean a formal letter to you or an engagement at a certain level, since in any event the provisions 2AI to III are clear who and who should the Council of State in that respect. Mr. Speaker, the second issue to me, I don't think that the executive in any way intends to undermine the authority of Parliament, as Honourable Obiato tries to create an impression of that nature. But, Mr. Speaker, we are running a nation with different dynamics as and when they so come up. I would want to suggest that we should not harbor a feeling that the executive would want to undermine the parliament. No, I don't think so. In any event, the matters raised are within the bosom of Mr. Speaker as to consultation. Therefore, would have an appropriate way of dealing with a matter like this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, the honourable member for honourable, yes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I think the concern raised by the minority leader is a very legitimate and germane concern. The reason is that the Constitution mandates that there be consultation. Now, consultation means having a discussion in discussions with Parliament. Now, if a letter is communicated from the executive branch, which is a fait accompli, basically communicating the end result to Parliament, that is far from being a consultative process. They may consult you, Mr. Speaker, and the House as a whole, and they are not bound by the outcome of the consultative process. They may still go ahead and make sure, appoint the people that they have communicated to you. But at least there has to be some semblance of respect to Parliament in terms of discussing with you the nominees that they intend to appoint to the Council of State. So, Mr. Speaker, if the letter is a fait accompli, as I've said, there has been no consultative process, the Constitution has been breached, and the minority leader's concern will have to be communicated back to the executive branch for what it is worth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, what the minority leader has done is to draw our attention to a publication from the office of the President. That publication conveys the intention of the President to appoint members of the Council of State in accordance with Article 891 and 2. 891 and 2. The concern of the minority leader is with 892, which reads, the Council of State shall consist of A, the following persons appointed by the President in consultation with Parliament. Roman 1, one person who has previously held the office of Chief Justice. Roman 2, one person who has previously held the office of Chief of Defense Staff of the Armed Forces of Ghana. Roman 3, one person who has previously held the office of Inspector General of Police. That is the concern he has raised, that the publication conveyed the intention of the President to appoint some persons who are qualified according to Article 892A to be appointed to the Council of State. We are being told that it meant that it's a fait accompli because from all indication, Parliament has not been consulted. Honourable members, the Speaker is not Parliament. The Speaker is not Parliament. If there have been any such practice, I will not follow a wrong practice. The consultation is to be with Parliament, and you, chaired by the Speaker, constitute Parliament. And so even if there is a communication, in whatever form, it doesn't say formal communication, even if it is verbal or whatever it means to me, I'll have to convey it to you. It doesn't mean I have to do it in the open or on the floor of the House. That process will be done by us. That's part of the procedure that Parliament will have to iron out. I have not received any communication from the President in this respect, neither verbal nor written, formal nor informal. And so the minority leader is right in drawing the attention of the House to this, and I will direct that this be conveyed to the office of the President, that the proper thing be done. These are not matters, now that the names have come up, if there's consultation and we disagree with some of the nominees, you all know the implications and effect of such disagreement. And so it's proper that we do these consultations before we go public. That is the right thing to do. And that is the letter and spirit of the article 892A. The rest, the President is not bound to consult Parliament. And the publication with regard to 892B is in the right direction. But with 892A, I think the office of the President got it wrong. And I so direct that this be communicated to the office of the President. Anytime that I get the communication properly channeled to me, I will let Parliament be aware, and we will convey our views to the President. The President is not bound to accept whatever we say. That we can be sure. He is not bound. I'm even told consultation could be a telephone call. Now, because it's an institution, it will be difficult to call. After the telephone call, I will have to act as the channel to get in touch with Parliament. And then we could do the same, and the President will be more than authorized to go ahead to make the appointments. What they have done now is not appointments. It's just conveying his intention. So I think that we should take that along as we transact businesses in the future. I can now proceed to item 3. Correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. Correction of votes and proceedings of Friday, 29th January 2021, page 1. Page 2.
Mr. Speaker, page 2.
Yes, Honorable, yes.
Yes.
name number 67, Bandim Abed, Azuma Abednego. The Abednego is spelled with a hyphen between the Abed and the Nego. Please.
Table office, take note. 67, Abed Nego is a compound name. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Sorry, is it page 7? 8, yes.
Most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, item numbered 8 at page 8. The statement I made last Friday. The head note should end COVID-19 fight instead of the economy, so that it should be the high cost of COVID-19 antigen tests administered to the traveling public at the Kotoka International Airport and its negative impact on the country's COVID-19 fight. That was the heading of my statement. Impact on COVID-19 fight, not impact on the country's economy. So economy should be deleted and replaced with COVID-19 fight. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, table office, take note. Page 9. Yes, Honourable.
Right Honourable Speaker, question proposed. It should read debate arising. The report has debate, so the A should change to E. Thank you.
Table office, kindly take note. Honourable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the 9th sitting of the first meeting of the first session held on Friday, 2021, are adopted as a true record of proceedings. We have 3 copies of official reports. We have Thursday, 7th January 2021, Friday, 15th January 2021, and Tuesday, 19th January 2021. With Thursday, 7th January 2021. Any corrections? Yes, Honourable Ablakwa.
Most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, there are quite a number of corrections in this official report. Mr. Speaker, I will start with the page numbered Roman numeral I the second name, officials of Parliament. The Honorable Joseph Osei-Wusu, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. His Osei-Wusu is hyphenated. So if that could be corrected accordingly. Under office of the NDC leadership, the Honorable First Deputy Whip, he is Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim. That's the fourth entry, Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim. What we have here is Ibrahim. So if it can be corrected accordingly. Under the alphabetical list of members of Parliament, my name, the entry number 6, Okujato ends with small cap O, the alphabet O, but that's not what is captured here. So if it can be corrected. I move to page 3, III, Mr. Speaker. The name of the distinguished second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the only independent candidate, has been captured wrongly. It should be Esia Amwako. There is no A. We have here just Mwako. I believe that is not his name. If it can be corrected accordingly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I come to page IX, page 9. The name of my colleague Von B. David T.D. is his constituency has been added to the name so that constituency should have been Chefu Atimokwa, but Chefu has been added as part of his name. The Speaker, that would have to be corrected accordingly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I come to column 029, which was referring to your good self, Mr. Speaker, when the Honorable leader of the NDC caucus, the Honorable Haruna Idrisi, was presenting your profile to the House that fateful day. The third paragraph reads, Mr. Chairman, he was among the 3 wise men, and he's a 3-star leader because he has served as minority leader, majority leader, and as a second deputy speaker between 2001 and 2018. Mr. Speaker, it should be, for the record, accuracy, it should be 2001 to 2021. That's January 6, 2021, not 20, for the record. The second paragraph under column 031 as well, about your good self, you chaired the Public Accounts Committee from 2001 to 2005, not 2004. Second paragraph of column 031. Considering that this is the Right Honorable Speaker, these records must be particularly given the right attention in terms of accuracy, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker, also at column 033, the last paragraph, Electoral Commission has been presented as electoral communication. So if it can be corrected accordingly, Mr. Speaker. The last paragraph of column 033. Mr. Speaker, column 075, the third paragraph, the standing order used for your election is standing order 91, not 91. 91, not 91. So if it can be corrected accordingly. Same for column 078, the last but one paragraph is starting order 91 and not as has been captured here. Mr. Speaker, column 083, the NDC leader at the time, Mr. Idrisu, the last line, the last paragraph, it should proceed by voting in secret. Proceed by voting in secret. And Mr. Speaker, the sorting out that was done at 6:18 a.m. at column 083, 6:18 a.m. We have here ballot papers sorted out into two main lots, but it also had a spoiled ballot. So if you can add plus one spoiled ballot identified, just for the accuracy of the historic developments that happened that night, because this reflects in the speaker captured in his inaugural address, 136, 138, one spot ballot. So column 083, the sorting out should reflect exactly what happened. Mr. Speaker, column 088, the second paragraph. We proceed to elect the deputy speakers of Parliament, if it can be corrected accordingly. The same error with my name recurs at column 089. And so, Mr. Speaker, if that can also be taken on board. And finally, Mr. Speaker, at column 112, the last paragraph, column 112, it should read a Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, KAIPTC. It has been captured wrongly. And finally, Mr. Speaker, column 115, the Honorable Member for the Kwai constituency, as you introduce him, the Honorable Joseph Osewusu, the name has been captured wrongly. The First Deputy Speaker has a hyphen in Osewusu, and it should be captured accurately. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, thank you so much for the eagle eye and for being so meticulous. Let's all develop the flair to edit so that we can have better records of the proceedings of this House. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the official report of Thursday, 7 January 2021, column 084, the third paragraph, if you may permit me to read, that 6:28 a.m., an honourable member elects matches ballot papers. Right, Honourable Speaker, we all do know that it was Honourable Ahinkra who snatched the ballot papers. If it is not wrong for us to put his name there to reflect the true story of the happening of that day, I think it should be done.
Honourable Member, you are referring to column 084,
Mr. Speaker.
line 3.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. If you may permit me,
that is under Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, just after the sorting...
6:28 a.m.
Yes, please. 6:28 a.m. An honourable member elect snatches ballot papers.
Oh.
Yes, and that is why, Mr. Speaker, I'm asking that we all know that it was Honorable Ahimpra who sniped the ballot papers, and so his name should be mentioned to reflect the true story.
Table office, please, kindly take note. Capture it properly. So it will mention in the correction. It will mention. Yes. Honourable members, in the absence of any further correction to the official report of Thursday, 7th January 2021, is adopted as the true records of the proceedings of the day. We move to Friday, official report Friday, 15th January 2021. Any corrections? Again, Honorable Ablakwa.
Most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. One correction to submit, Mr. Speaker, at column 023, the name of the former Speaker of Parliament, your distinguished predecessor, Mr. Speaker, the Right Honourable Edward Kobli Doajaho. But what we have here is Kobla, but he is Kobli, K-O-R-B-L-Y. That is his name, captured more accurately and not the rendition here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
K-O-R-B-L-Y.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. Honourable members, in the absence of any further correction to the official report of Friday, 5th January 2021, is adopted as the true records of the proceedings of that day. We take the third one, official report of Tuesday, 19th January 2021. Any corrections? Yes.
Most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, please, at column 006, the second paragraph, I keep making this correction, but it appears the table office always gets it wrong. Nana Utu Srebo, the chairman, who's also been renominated as chairman of the new Council of State. The Srebo is S-I-R-I-B-U-O-R. Nana Utu Srebo the second. And not, my correction has been captured wrongly again. It shouldn't be S-E-R-E, but it should be S-I-R-I-B-U-O-R. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member, you are right, because even they captured it in the narration, but finally got it wrong at the end. Well, it stated that the cerebral is spelled with an I. I tried to correct it last Friday. It should be. And the spelling again repeated the wrong one. So please, table office, kindly take note for the last time. That is the former chairman of the Council of State, renominated to be a member You can't afford to be getting it wrong all the time. Next time you do so, the House will advise itself. Honourable members, in the absence of any further correction, the official report of Tuesday, 19 January 2021 is adopted as the true record of proceedings of that day. We now move to item 4. Honourable members, I have admitted a number of statements put forward by members. I propose we take 4 today. There are many statements. I propose we take 4 today. Honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to finish with the corrections, so Mr. Speaker, I chip in a word if you will indulge me, Mr. Speaker.
After the corrections, you want to put in a word?
No, well, after the corrections, I think I stood up and you did not grab me. I didn't catch your eye. On the corrections for the Thursday, 7th January 2021, I heard a colleague from the other side mention that the one who's not the ballot papers has a name, so he has to be mentioned in the answer. But I presume, Mr. Speaker, that we all knew what happened that day, and several names also would have to mention the same answer. Because there were people who voted ballot boxes, there were people who kicked voting votes, and so on, people who threw marshals on the floor. So if you are going to mention names, as Mr. Speaker has asked the table office to take note, then I'd like to also put the House on notice that it will be only appropriate that anything that happened here, names have been attributed to them in the answer. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member, unfortunately, you are completely out of order. Equity is the vigilant and not the indolent. Again, your submission is general. It hasn't zoomed down to specifics. And so I could not be admitting it, and so you are out of order. And I will continue as I did on the issue of statements. I have admitted 4 statements, and I will start with the order in which office. Honourable member, I hope you will not take us back.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to draw your attention with respect. Mr. Speaker, with respect, in this House, a member can only have the right to speak if he's able to catch your eye. Mr. Speaker, with respect, in view of the statement you made, that equity...
Honourable member, I'm very vigilant. What he said is not true. That is true, that and it's not true. Please, I'm very vigilant. Honourable members, if you want me to start mentioning all those who stand, those of you who rise up, and even to be talking to your colleagues, not even trying to catch my eye, I will do so. But you are directly in front of me. And before I took off, I went up and down. You see me always viewing round before I proceed. So please, My advice is that move away from. Honorable members, the first statement stands in the name of Honorable Samuel Nate George, and it is on the second anniversary of the Ayawaso West Woburn by-election and the recommendations by the Emission Commission.
Right Honorable
Yes,
Speaker.
Honorable, you may make your statement now.
Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to make this statement. This past Sunday, 31st of January 2021, marked the second anniversary of the by-elections held in the Ayawaso West Woburn constituency. The of the day are a matter of public knowledge and have left an indelible scar on the fourth Republican democracy of our nation. A number of harrowing incidents that sought to mar Ghana's democracy and question our faith in our security services occurred in the full glare of the media. A public outcry and international condemnation led to the setting up of a commission of inquiry by His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, pursuant to Article 278 of the Constitution, to probe the unfortunate events that undermined the electoral college today. Mr. Speaker, the commission chaired by Justice Emil Short on the 14th of March 2019 submitted this report to the Presidency and made recommendations for further investigation, compensation, structural changes in the security architecture of the country, among other recommendations. Government in its white paper shockingly disagreed with a large portion of the recommendation by the Commission and even questioned if the eminent Justice Emil Short, a former Shraj boss, Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu, and now a Supreme Court judge and leading legal light on criminal law, a former Inspector General of Police, understood the mandate and scope of their work. Government, despite its disagreement, however, accepted to pay some compensation to some identified individuals who had suffered the brutality of state security operatives.
Honorable Member, I see Honorable Katie Hammond on his feet.
Yes.
You know he applied to be a senior prefect. That application has not yet been considered by the House. But I can see you trying to make a statement. Yes. Honorable Katie Hammond.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't quite get that. I thought the application was approved by both sides of the House the last time. I'm not sure what you just said.
I didn't put the question, so I don't know how the approval came. I didn't put the question.
No,
so how did you get the approval?
No, you actually it did slip out of your mouth. I recall that it did slip. And then this side of it endorsed it, and then this side also, Mr. Speaker, agreed. And then last time I brought your attention here, and you accepted that it was all over and that we had agreed. I mean, you want to review that decision? Mr. Speaker?
Any side decision, but your leader is in front of you. So I don't know about what you are saying.
All right, we'll refer to him.
Is that the reason why you are on your feet?
No, the reason why, Mr. Speaker, you got my attention and
yes.
I caught your eye. Mr. Speaker, it's my worry about what is happening now. Mr. Speaker, bear with me. I don't intend to incur your displeasure. But as far as I'm concerned, this matter took place some 2 years ago. Mr. Speaker, a committee of inquiry was set up. There has been a report. I suspect on it. It's been published. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure. Listen, nobody should take any order, standing order, and point you to any order, anything. We are not dealing with orders here. Put your order, standing orders down. Let me just get this matter with the Speaker. Look, Mr. Speaker, look at them. Each one of them is got their
Honorable Member, I don't know how we can operate in this house without standing orders.
No, I didn't quite say that.
You said they should put their standing orders down.
Put those down for the time being once
Honorable members, please resume your seats. Let's listen to him. We haven't listened to him.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, look at this.
That definitely is within my mandate. Yes.
2 years down the line, a committee of inquiry, and then the report has been published. And then, Mr. Speaker, we are now called upon to listen to a statement a colleague of ours thought a passage to bring to the House today. I'm not so sure whether the system is being abused or they're talking about. They might want to, Mr. Speaker, point to which part of the standing order enables them 2 years down the lane, Mr. Speaker, to bring this sort of thing for us to debate today. The supply of emphasis here is not a ceremonial matter. I'm not so sure, Mr. Speaker, the significance of that matter, Mr. Speaker, for us to kind of debate today. Mr. Speaker, I seek your guidance on this matter.
Yes, Honorable Ablako.
Most grateful. Right, Honourable Speaker. Our standing orders are very clear. Order 72 states, with your permission, Mr. Speaker, by the indulgence of the House and leave of Mr. Speaker, a member may, at the time appointed for statements under Order 53, Order of Business, explain a matter of personal nature or make a statement on a matter of urgent public importance. Any statement other than a personal statement may be commented upon by other members for a limited duration of time, not exceeding 1 hour. The terms of any such proposed statement shall first be submitted to Mr. Speaker. Shall first be submitted to Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, Order 71 also provides that ceremonial speeches may be allowed. Such speeches may be confined to commemorating special events or occasions of death of distinguished persons. And then there's Order 70 that deals with another category of statements. The point I'm making, Mr. Speaker, is that all statements, you have the sole right of admissibility. You decide to admit these statements. They are first submitted to you, you assess them, and then you admit them. Once you have called the statement, it means that you have assessed the statement in line with our standing orders. You have admitted it. And so rising to challenge a maker of a statement midstream means you are challenging the Speaker and questioning the Speaker's discretion to admit a statement, which is wrong. And you're a senior member of the House, Honorable K.T. Omo, my good uncle. You know that what you are doing is totally wrong. So once Mr. Speaker has admitted a statement, please let's allow the Honorable Sam George to finish the statement.
Honorable member may continue.
May you live long, Mr. Speaker. It is heartbreaking, Mr. Speaker, for me to stand in the People's Chamber 2 years on and recount how none of these individuals who were promised compensation in the government white paper have received any compensation or support from the state. I am heartbroken, as I myself was a victim of the recklessness that characterized the actions of state operatives on the day. I saw firsthand the brutality meted out to some of these innocent citizens of the Republic. 18 of them filed complaints to the police subsequent to the violence. The heart-rending situation of Mr. Ishawu Yaro, a promising footballer who was his family's breadwinner and who got shot several times in his leg, ever since, even after 3 surgeries, should not be our record as a nation. Despite the recommendation of the President's Commission of Inquiry on compensation for 8 out of the 16 and the acceptance of same in the white paper, these 8 innocent citizens have been ignored by the authorities. A group of wives whose spouses were victims of violence during the by-election have petitioned the government through the Ministry of Gender for action on their compensation. There has been absolutely no response. Mr. Speaker, accompanied by over 80 members of Parliament and my lawyers, I personally submitted a petition to the then Inspector General of Police, Mr. David Asante Apietu, and the then Deputy Director General of the Criminal Investigation Department, ACP Mr. George Chinibua, and identified some of my assailants. It is almost 2 years, and the police has failed to as much as respond to my petition, whilst my assailants walk freely. It is this inertia in the delivery of justice that leads many to question if truly justice will be served in this unfortunate matter. Right Honourable Speaker, our constituents and citizens of this republic deserve better. The citizens of the Republic of Ghana demand action. We owe it as the representatives of the people and the true last bastion of democracy to hold agents of state security to account for their infractions of law. We cannot fail. We must demand that justice is served the 8 citizens whom government has pledged to compensate. The tenets of democracy, the rule of law, accountability, and the protection of the human rights of citizens is essential in this democratic dispensation, and nothing or no one must be allowed to jeopardize this. These citizens, Mr. Speaker, are Mr. Theophilus Sedofu, Mr. Seidu Zane, Mr. James Moore, Mr. Mohammed Al-Hassan, Mr. Ishawu Yaro, the owner of vehicle with registration number GE3844-17, the owner of Kia Picanto with registration number GW1045-17, and Mrs. Justin Sheikh, the owner of a beauty salon. These individuals were identified in the government white paper for compensation. We represent as Parliament the last ray of hope for these citizens who have elected us here. I pray your good officers to direct all relevant state institutions responsible for the payment of the compensations to these affected citizens to act expeditiously in the resolution of this matter. Right Honourable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to make this statement and draw national attention to the plight of innocent Ghanaian citizens in our constituents. I thank you.
Leadership guidance, how many from each side of the House? Well, we have 4 statements.
Speaker,
yes, please.
Speaker, if you permit, specific to this statement, maybe one from each side will suffice. Speaker, because you had already intimated that there are a number of statements to be taken,
yes,
I want to plead that for this particular statement, we take one from each side while we proceed to the other statement.
Yes, what do you say to the request?
Mr. Speaker, I think that statement is harmless. It's calling on attention of government to do something which was recommended in the report. So, Mr. Speaker, we propose that we have at least 4 contributors each. If they don't have people to contribute, I have more people here to contribute. So at least 4 from each side of the House. And 9, so that we don't stretch the contribution. 2-3 minutes per person will be okay. Thank you.
4 is on the high side, 1 is on the low side. Yes.
Speaker, we are in your hands. If 1 is on the low side and 4 is on the higher side,
we leave that to your decision in your hands.
2 from each side of the divide. Yes, so you may now make your contribution. Oh, I thought you wanted to make a contribution. Honourable Member, I hope you will refer me to a standing order which says that when you want to make a statement on the floor, you share copies with members. I don't have any standing orders on this matter, but I know that the statement is passed through the leadership of the side, and they do recommendation to me. I go through it, and for good reason, without any of the standing orders are admitted for the House. One clear reason being that you have the biggest voice in the country. This is the highest political platform of the country, and you represent the people. So when there are issues concerning the rights, particularly fundamental human rights, or issues of law, violation of law and the rest, it's good that we give this House a voice to articulate it. I'm very concerned about the use of language, and I read through it and I saw there was no offensive language in the statement before I admitted it. And I did it because they are these vulnerable Ghanaians who have some issues and they are not finding the voice. And so it's good that you articulate it for national discussion, and then finally the state will take action. It's not a matter of government and opposition. I believe that in this country we've hurt each other for far too long. We should be moving towards serious and real reconciliation. Please. And so I'll be admitting these statements just for this purpose. We can't continue this way if we really want to develop as a nation. So I'm admitting statements of this nature, and I'll always give equal opportunity to both sides of the House. So 2 from each side. Yes.
Speaker, let me commend you. To start with, let me commend you for admitting this particular statement. I'm excited by the fact that it will lead us as an institution to forgotten injustices perpetrated. Speaker, I admire the confidence and the curiosity of my good friend, the honourable member who made the statement. But suffice it to say that there have been a number of by-elections in our country. Some have been more bloody. It's quite my good friend tend to focus on only the recent one. Just as by the way, anyway. I want to humbly submit that any injustice perpetrated anywhere should be condemned. And hence, as my colleague is calling for a much more thorough investigation and handing over of deserving compensation to deserving personalities and people involved, let's also not gloss over the injustice perpetrated at the Etiwa by-elections. It was much more bloody. The Chilponi by-election cannot be lost on us. The Akwetia by-election cannot be lost on us. And I want to submit, the Speaker, in our pursuit to ensure that there is equity, there is justice handed over to the good people of this country, we pay a certain attention to
Ghanaians who have suffered from these by-elections. It's the only one that will set the stage for fairness. I'm happy the maker of the statement had admitted that the government had responded positively. It's the first time in our country that after a by-elections, a commission of inquiry has been formed to investigate into the perpetration of such injustice. It's something we have to be proud of. It's something we have to commend the government. And don't forget, out of that, flowing from that, we had a passage of the vigilantism law, which is supposed to guide us as a country. So even as we lament of the perpetration of violence, and I will not support violence perpetrated on any Ghanaian, it's important we recognize the good steps that were taken by the government then and learn some lessons from them. So, not to bore you with words, I think that going forward, it's important we don't selectively pick only on the happening or what happened at the recent by-election, but we do a thorough retrospection and take a cue from all that happened before. It is only then that we can see our way clear. It is only then that as a nation we will be seen as truly pursuing justice. In my view, Speaker, and this is not to challenge your decision to admit this statement, I think my colleague would have respected him more if he had made a cursory reference to all the, at least for the recent times, the by-elections we've held, and the personalities and the people that have been maimed and property that have been destroyed, so that it becomes a holistic. So, going forward, we need to condemn the violence. Going forward, we need to ensure that we don't have violence perpetrated. But it is only fair that we don't forget what happened in Chiripone. The blood and the soul of those who were lost are still crying for justice. Guns were pointed at Ghanaians, daylight, and they were shot. We can't look over that. We can't gloss over that. Let's be fair and call for a total and absolute justice, respecting all that has happened, all the by-election that has happened. It's only then that we will be seen.
Honourable members, I will encourage you and others to bring specific statements on these incidents. You see, we must heal the nation. I want specifics. I'll admit them. We'll make them on the floor of the House. We will try as a House to lead in this matter. It's very important. So it's good that you are raising them. But let's get specific statements and then we'll discuss them. Then we know what action to take. Yes, please.
Speaker, let me just conclude. And I take a cue from your wise counsel that in pursuing the path of healing, we show an attitude of fairness. It's very important. That is only when the healing can be all-inclusive. So maybe, for want of a better word, ab initio, our colleague's statement was a bit more discriminatory. And if we had involved all the happenings in recent times, that's better. And all of us get more involved in seeking this healing that can help the nation and put us on the higher pedestal. Just a few words. I thank you for the opportunity.
Please, let's allow the Honourable Lady.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I think by the numbers we have on both sides in this House should clearly tell us that it is time to be loving, it is time to sound a bit reconciliatory in whatever we say. Mr. Speaker, no amount of equalization, comparing Chiripone to whatever, is the issue here. The issue in the statement clearly states, or it is clearly stated here that the maker of the statement is referring to the second anniversary of a certain event. And so he cannot bring treachery and whatever into it. Yes, Mr. Speaker, the vigilante law was passed by us. Did that bring lives back? The vigilante law was passed. Did it affect the recommendations? No. When you read the white paper from the government, item 6.3, the government took note of the Commission's recommendation of the report and refers the recommendation to the CID for further investigation. Where are we with that? Have we heard anything about people being prosecuted? No. Item 6.4 in the white paper. Government also assessed in part the recommendation on compensation as captured in principle, but stated clearly that if the Commission failed to provide an assessment of injuries sustained and therefore refer the recommendation to the Attorney General's Department for assessment for compensations to be paid. Here we are. Nothing has been paid. Whether an assessment has been made or was made, we don't know. And then we are here equalizing. Please, all I want to say, so this is the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, for the rightful or the right departments to come and brief the House or the Committee of Interior on these issues. It's just an anniversary or a reminder that we still have a certain job to do. On that note, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity, but I urge my senior colleagues that we must be more reconciliatory. People are watching us. They want us to work together. Enough of it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Well, I said two from each side of the House. They've exercised one, you have done your two. And so, yes.
Mr. Speaker, I think we agree on two from each side of the House. So it is the turn of the majority side. So yes. If they don't have, we can move to the minority side so that we move forward. Because
is that part of the understanding?
Okay.
Is that part of the understanding?
Well, because
I didn't get that from the House. That if one fails to contribute, the side should see the opportunity to the other side. It has not yet emerged. Honourable members, I will plead with you to let us continue with the other statements. We have a lot of them.
Only one person spoke from here. So if they are not prepared, let's utilize our second option.
Two persons spoke. The maker of the statement and then the honourable. That was the understanding I got. He said two from each side.
The maker of the statement is different
there was
from
nothing
the
like
activity.
after the statement.
So we are. Why no? No. Only one person spoke from here. That is Angela. Statement is not at least one more from
members. We move to the second statement, who stands in the name of Honorable John Ampontua Kuma, MP, Ejuso. It is on youth unemployment and job creation through the private sector. Honorable Member, you may make your statement now.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity granted me to make this statement on youth.
Honorable Member, just a minute. I drew the attention of the House to the issue of physical distancing. I see it's being breached again. Please, you have spaces. Please, honorable members, physical distancing must be obeyed. That is the reason why we said 1/3 of the 275 should be on the floor every time the House sits. Yes, honorable member, you may continue.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity granted me to make this statement on youth unemployment and job creation through the private sector. Mr. Speaker, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in 2018 described the youth unemployment situation he inherited in his first term as threat to our national security. As of 2016, the Ghana Labour Force Survey reported that more than 1.2 million Ghanaians were unemployed. Creating jobs for the Ghanaian youth was therefore a big-ticket item in the first term of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Job creation for Ghanaian youth was and still is critical and called for policy measures aimed at solving them. The government therefore rolled out several measures to close the youth unemployment gap in Ghana. Was the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, the NEIP, which is on record to have trained about 45,000 beneficiaries on how they can create their own businesses. About 10,000 of them received funding up to the 2,000 Ghana cedis. Most importantly, Mr. Speaker, the NEP through private sector collaboration created about 100,000 jobs. As same can be verified from the website www.neip.gov.gh. Mr. Speaker, may I take this opportunity to advise beneficiaries of government loans, plain and honest, on their repayment obligations in order to ensure the sustenance of such laudable interventions from government. Other interventions instituted by government to reduce youth unemployment are NAPCO, Planting for Food and Jobs, One District, One Factory, the Youth Employment Program, Youth in Afforestation, and various interventions by the National Youth Authority. The ravaging nature of this pandemic, with its corresponding negative impact on the labor market, cannot be lost on us. A lot of countries have reported job losses as a result of the global pandemic. In Ghana, it is not different. The pandemic has forced many Ghanaian businesses to lay off some of their workers in response to the adverse economic impact of the virus. A survey conducted by the Ghana Statistical Service in collaboration with the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP, and the World Bank in November 2020
indicated that about 42,000 employees lost their jobs during the partial lockdown of the Greater Accra region and the Greater Kumasi alone. A similar survey conducted by the Innovation for Poverty Action in December 2020 revealed that 34% of young people between the ages of 18 and 24 in Ghana had lost their source of livelihoods as a result of the pandemic. Mr. Speaker, indeed, it is important to note that post the partial lockdown and thanks to the numerous interventions by government, especially through the Corona Alleviation Program, and with support from the private sector, many of these lost jobs have been addressed with new source of hope and new opportunities are being created to fill these losses. However, we must not relent on the need to create more jobs and to establish the appropriate environment for businesses to be created and to survive. To achieve, we must chart a new path on job creation in Ghana built on the back of the private sector. Mr. Speaker, it is the hope and aspiration of every graduate in Ghana to work in the public sector because of the apparent job security it offers and the opportunity to serve the country. Inasmuch as this aspiration is noble and must be encouraged, my plea to the teeming youth of this country, one reason or the other cannot find jobs in the public sector, is to look to the private sector or venture to create their own businesses. Mr. Speaker, though admittedly some of these young individuals want to venture into small businesses, the lack of funds to help them start up their businesses or keep these businesses running is a huge problem that needs mentioning. I am of the view that we as a country must do more to create an enabling environment for our entrepreneurs to get easy access to funds to fund their businesses. One of them is that is through crowdfunding. Mr. Speaker, in simple terms, crowdfunding is when businesses or individuals raise funds from a large number of people to finance a new business venture or to expand operations. In some instances, individuals get their own equity in the business they invest in. Crowdfunding is an advanced form of a very good loan. As individuals from one community, we sometimes use resources to start up a business. However, this is our technology. We benefit from the generosity and goodwill of whom we will not even know. One of the most crowdfunding projects is that of Barana, the United States of America, who were seeking $1 million on a crowdfunding platform, maybe a global update. He doesn't want anybody to global update. So Mr. Speaker, crowdfunding project went viral, delivering $5,492 from 6,900 Just this one example shows the kind of impact crowdfunding can do with the private sector in this side to institutionalize in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, in recent times, I have seen several communities in Ghana, predominantly on social media, and particularly on Facebook, solicit funds for sick and the needy. I am of the strong conviction that if we are tapped into such means of raising capital for our entrepreneurs and small business owners, the problem of lack of capital, that small business owners will be reduced. Ghana's leading position in terms of adopting digital finance and mobile subsidies from private countries is a better chance at succeeding in crowdfunding. Mr. Speaker, as I speak, there is no law in Ghana backing ability not 5. The absence of this means that the private sector is hampered when it comes to looking for financial investment. The Securities and Exchange Commission is now formulating a framework. End-stage kidney in a framework plan formally introduced crowdfunding in Ghana. We must be present on them expedite the process and bring before the House a document that allows the Ghanaian businessman or businesswoman to tap into this scheme that has helped entrepreneurs and businesses across the globe to raise the needed capital to create jobs for the unemployed in the strike.
So Gideon has been saying it.
The private sector can help close the employment deficit. We can support them if we pass the legislation of crowdfunding to protect businesses and individuals who want to invest through crowdfunding means. Mr. Speaker, another potent way to reduce unemployment is to tap into the 1.3 billion consumer market presented by the African Continental Free Trade Area. Increasingly, the Ghanaian market is saturated with lots of consumer products on the offering. What the after that most small business owners know very little about is that it allows them to export their products and services to other parts of the continent, where they can generate more revenue, which will help in expanding their businesses and subsequently contribute to creating more jobs. With the coming into force of this compact, I entreat small business owners to consider venturing into other parts of the continent. We must seize the numerous opportunities of Africa. In conclusion, on my part, as a member of Parliament, I am championing the creation of what I call a Joseph Plan 100. A project which seeks to create 100 entrepreneurs in a Joseph in the next 4 years. But this will go a long way to bring jobs for my constituents. And I commend the same program to colleagues in the August House. If we succeed together, the 275 of us will have networked to create 27,500 young entrepreneurs in the country in the next 4 years. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much for raising this issue. I will permit you from each house. Somebody go out of the house to contribute to this. Somebody take the sound. Yes, there are no means of contributions. Yes, only.
Because in his previous life, he was the chief executive of the NEIP. The Speaker, he has run us through the unemployment situation. He's also run us through the intervention by government and what we need to do to make life better for our youth. Mr. Speaker, let me emphasize this one more time. Yesterday, I had the privilege of listening to Professor Jambafo, a former member of parliament. He was running us through some national issues and had the opportunity to address us on some of the abuses in the system. Specifically, he made mention of situations where Ghanaians had gotten exim facility and had abused it. It runs down to the informal private. Many a times Ghanaians get support from government intervention. I can recall the Rawlings Poverty Alleviation Fund era through to the Kufuor's Maslock, the Atamil's Maslock, the JM Maslock, and now the Nanado Maslock, NBSSI support, and NEIP support. Ghanaians benefit from venture capital funds. Ghanaians benefit from other funds set up for the private sector. Now, the question is, are we really putting in place a monitoring mechanism? Monitoring mechanism is there. How do Ghanaian businessmen perceive these funds? That it is government, so we can abuse it. Mr. Speaker, it is becoming unbecoming.
people don't have the sense of repayment. And almost every youth in this country wants to go to public sector employment. It will get to a point that the public sector can no more employ. The only place to create a space is the private sector. And that is where, in the past, the complaint was, we don't have source of capital, we don't have money, we don't have the means, we have the ideas. But now the opportunity is there for people to start their own businesses. Billions are being rolled out. Are they willing to pay? And are they paying? Would they pay? If these monies go out and Ghanaian youth do not pay, it is my MP who facilitated. It was somebody I know who facilitated. Oh, this is government money, so I don't really care. Mr. Speaker, then the unemployment situation will be worse, especially now that we have COVID with us. Businesses are collapsing. So if people don't take advantage of the interventions responsibly, that this is state funds, but if you pay, you will get more. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by emphasizing this point. I was a consultant to a company, and when at a point we had an engagement, this gentleman who was in charge of the company told me that, oh, this company was started by his great-grandfather, and his grandfather took over, and his father took over, and it's now his turn. And the source of capital was from the state. Can we say today that from the days of Nkrumah to the days of Jerry Rawlings, of blessed memory, days of J, all those who got capital support to do their businesses are doing and doing it well. Well-intended projects that, Mr. Speaker, my senior colleague is giving me some more points. Many of the opportunities that come our way are often abused. So, Mr. Speaker, I think Honorable John Kuma has it. The time has come for Ghanaians to stop the abuse of capital from the state. All the interventions we have. Else, Mr. Speaker, else, the opportunity will be there for, quote unquote, the foreigners. Because they would make good use of it. And would we now be talking about emancipation? Would we now be talking about Pan-Africanism and say that people are enslaving us? No. Because they took good care of theirs. When they had the opportunity, they made good use of it, but we have abused ours. So, Mr. Speaker, let all of us go to our various constituencies, mindful of our own situations. Mr. Speaker, I don't want a situation where I would narrate my own problems here. Because, Mr. Speaker, people are getting work and pay very expensive. Guarantees for them, where there is no interest, they won't pay. Because it's the MP who guarantee. Mr. Speaker, when Agbo Moto, I remember when I was a presiding member, Agbo Moto for our fisher folks, government was subsidizing and was saying that fishermen should pay half and pay the rest over time. Mr. Speaker, fishermen will make money, build houses, and they won't pay for the Agbo Moto because Ayabensika is from the government. Mr. Speaker, these are things that we should watch. Because at the end of the day, the political authority, the government, is even blackmailed. Because when you want to ensure accountability, there is blackmail. So this is a statement calling on Ghanaians to rise to be a true Ghanaian, to be a citizen. We are in hard times. We can no more abuse opportunities that come our way. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member. We'll move to the third statement. This statement stands in the name of Honourable Dr. Sebastian Sandare. It is on baby harvesting in health facilities and its implications on maternal and child health in Ghana. Honorable Member, you may make the statement now.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to make this statement. Mr. Speaker, on Thursday, January 21st, 2021, Daily Graphic captioned a news item on its front page as follows, and I quote, "Baby harvesting syndicate busted." They include 2 doctors and 4 nurses. It was reported that a joint operation by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, and the Ghana Medical and Dental Council had led to the arrest of 11 persons suspected to be involved in the harvesting of babies and human trafficking in some health facilities in the Greater Accra region. The suspects comprised of 2 medical doctors, 4 nurses, 2 mothers, 2 social welfare officers, and a traditional birth attendant. The operation reportedly led to the rescue of 2 baby boys, who were offered for sale at 30,000 Ghana cedis and 20,000 Ghana cedis each to undercover investigators. Mr. Speaker, the actions of these professionals have brought shame and fear about maternal and child health care in Ghana. Their actions are not only criminal and unethical, but also foreign to the African culture, norms, and values. In Africa, and particularly in Ghana, children are treasured to the extent that every family wants children. The stories of babies getting missing after delivery in health facilities have been happening for satisfactory explanations. An example is the story of the newly born baby who got missing at the Kung Fu Anoche Teaching Hospital, which brought sadness to the family and the entire country. The picture currently unfolding is an indication that we might be seeing the tip of the iceberg and therefore needs urgent attention and redress. Right Honourable Speaker, more worrying is the caliber of health professionals and the alleged institutions they work in. It was alleged that one of the doctors worked at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital and the other at the 37 Military Hospital. Both hospitals are reputable institutions of high standards in our country. Doctors, midwives, nurses, social welfare workers are professionals who are trained to heal and protect lives, especially the vulnerable in society. It is therefore sad to find some of them engaged in this and barbaric act. Right Honourable Speaker, Ghana has gone through a long milestone to achieve some gains in maternal and child health. Though maternal care has improved over the past 20 to 30 years, the pace has been slow for Ghana to reach its desired target. Interventions such as the Safe Motherhood Program, High Impact Rapid Delivery Program, free maternal health care under the National Health Insurance Scheme have all been implemented over the period to see improvements in maternal and child health in the country. One major determinant affecting progress of maternal and child health is sociocultural practices of the people in this country, and it is one of the contributing factors to why Ghana could not achieve the Millennium Development Goal 5 in 2015. Mr. Speaker, in our health facilities is an example of such a negative practice that will drill the gains made in maternal and child health care in this country. This is because families, especially pregnant mothers, will lose trust in the health delivery system and will go back to the old practice of delivering at home, which will result increased maternal and child mortality and morbidity, low postnatal care, low family planning, and child immunizations will all go down, and Ghana will be far from achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Right Honorable Speaker, while condemning the bad behavior of these 6 health professionals involved in the sale of babies, who are the minority of the totality of all health workers in this country, let me use this opportunity to commend the hard-working health workers, especially medical doctors and midwives, who have sacrificed their lives to attend to pregnant women and babies in this country. The majority of health workers are of high professional standards, and it will not be fair to use what 6 of their colleagues have done to condemn all of them. This, however, should be a wake-up call to ensure high professional standards and ethics among health workers, especially medical doctors and midwives in Ghana. I commend the Ghana Medical and Dental Council and IOCO for the good work to uncover this malpractice. The collaboration between the 2 bodies should be strengthened to enable them make our health facilities safer for mothers and children. I commend the media highlights as well for their role in bringing to light news on such important topics. Right Honorable Speaker, while we recognize and commend the Medical and Dental Council for living up to its mandate and uplifting the trust and confidence in the healthcare system, I recommend that the Minister for Health should bring the draft amendment to Part 2 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act 857 of 2013, aimed at providing supervision and monitoring for the practice of the various categories of practitioners regulated by the Council, which was started by the Health Committee of the 7th Parliament, should be brought urgently to this House for work. The passage of the amendments will further strengthen the regulatory framework and better protect the health, safety, and well-being of our people. The Honourable Minister for Health should constitute a committee to review and ensure the effective implementation of protocols on the handling of dead bodies, especially bodies in all health facilities, both public and private. This will increase public confidence and trust in our healthcare system. Government should adequately resource the Medical and Dental Council and IOCO to enable them to continue with their regulatory, investigative, and supervisory functions effectively and efficiently. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the culprits, if proven guilty, should be dealt with severely according to law. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the phenomenon of baby harvesting and human trafficking in our health facilities has the potential of drilling the gains made in maternal and child health. All necessary actions must be taken to completely stop the practice and restore public trust in our health facilities. Once again, I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to make this.
Two from each side of the House. Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to.
Sorry, I didn't identify you. I rather identified the gentleman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. And let me take this opportunity to commend the Honorable Sandari for bringing to the fore such very disturbing news that happened a couple of weeks ago. Mr. Speaker, in fact, I've seen that they've labeled it baby theft or baby, what do you call it? I believe that properly Plain and simple, this is theft and trafficking in babies. And I dare say that I'm very, very disheartened that doctors and nurses in particular have been cited in this syndicate. I still cannot bring myself to believe that a certified colleague of mine can sink that low to engage in such practices. So I still want to beg that the Medical and Dental Council comes to make a categorical statement that those two or those people who have been cited are real doctors. I still cannot bring myself to believe that. Mr. Speaker, these are really ethical and moral issues which are playing in the medical field. They are criminal in nature and expose the pathology that is in our wider society. Mr. Speaker, it seems to me that there's a profound institutional dysfunction in Ghana, which is carrying towards even dystopia. How do I mean by that? Institutions which have been set up to, check certain bad things in the pathologies in society end up doing precisely what they were set up to fight against. And I can cite several institutions. You can institutions like the Forestry Commission, the Minerals Commission, which are engaged in galamsey, which is a big problem. You can cite the police and other security agencies which are engaging in precisely what they were set up to fight against. You can even up the ante and cite we, the politicians, too. We do not sometimes get the moral courage to speak against some of the things that we are here to do. And so, in this sense, I believe that ethics, we should have a national debate about morality and ethics in all institutions, so that we can set things right and get ourselves out together.
Honourable Member, is that Dr. Kweku Afriye?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
It has taken a long time to identify you.
Mr. Speaker.
You have changed.
Yes. When you have the mask on, perhaps you might even look like an armed robber. That's the paradox of our situation.
I used to see some hair on your head too. But it looks like it has disappeared.
That's why I didn't get the last one, sir.
You see your hair.
My hair. Yes, I used to have a hair. But the Speaker, we are all advancing in age, so sometimes we trim it. The Speaker, but I'm, like I said, I'm for an orthodox practitioner like mine, that the Speaker or the maker of the statement said that it's going to have a profound distrust in our profession, and that is where I agree with him. And we plead that Ghanaians in general will realize the sort of good job that we have done all this part. Talk about EPI, talk about even the COVID response, talk about so many things. So I'm pleading with the Ghanaians that some few bad nuts will not contaminate the rest of us, so to speak. Mr. Speaker, I believe that in this wise, he has made a lot of, suggestions. But I believe we should ask a simple question. How did we get here? Part of our larger national problem, this is, like I've said, this is part of a larger national problem, which reflects institutional dysfunction. And so, like I'm recommending too, that we should go outside the parameters that he has set, so that society can take a look at itself and then do the necessary corrections. But before I take my seat, Mr. Speaker, this reminds me of some of my classic Latin days. And I will revert to Latin and say that Dominus enim Deus miserere Ghana. That means, may the good Lord have mercy on Ghana. Thank you very much.
Yes, the Honourable Lady, it's now your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this statement on child harvesting in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, more often than not, when people are arrested for certain crimes, like child harvesting, we talk so much about it, we debate it on the floor of this house, but at the end of it all, nothing meaningful comes out of it. Mr. Speaker, it will be very traumatic if a mother who has been advised not to deliver at home.
Honorable Member, just a minute. Honorable First Deputy Speaker to take the chair. Yes, you may go on now.
Mr. Speaker, I said it will be very traumatic to see a mother who has been advised not to deliver at home, but to go to the hospital to deliver. And at the end of it, the mother is told that the baby has passed on, when actually the baby has not passed on. Mr. Speaker, I think this practice has been lingering on for some time now, so it's a high time as a country we take very serious actions against people who are caught, in baby harvesting. I'm very sure that this thing has been lingering on for a very long time, because I remember my sister who had twins at Konfanote Teaching Hospital. After having the twins, she went into coma. And when she recovered, she was told that she lost one of the twins. The baby was born, the two babies who were born, one was given to her. But till today, she doesn't know whether truly the second one died, because she didn't see the second one who the hospital authorities claim that she passed on. So if the basket of those people who are involved in these erroneous crimes are full, then serious action should be taken. Mr. Speaker, money is good, but 1 Timothy 6:10 says that for the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. People want quick money. People want to reap where they have not sown. They want to sell these children to get quick money. But they do not care about what these women, who after carrying these babies for 9 good months, go to deliver, and for their children. Mr. Speaker, recently we were told, and it's as the honorable member stated in his statement, that people have been arrested. Are we going again to sit down as a country for us to be told that after investigations they have not been found liable? If it continues, that is when people will have the interest, to continue doing what they are doing. Some of the women, especially the young ones, they are not ready, they cannot take care of these children. But they become pregnant, and when they go to deliver and they offer them 20,000 or 30,000 Ghana cedis, they will readily give up these children, to be bought. So it's a high time that as a nation we also educate these young girls that when they are not ready, they shouldn't go in for it. And also, what we need to do is that as a country we should also be flexible in the methods of adoption. Because, we have listened to some people. I'm a member of the gender committee, where adoption, the processes are too cumbersome. So if we can remove the bottlenecks and the legal administrative processes, where people can go in so easily to adopt children, I think, Mr. Speaker, we'll not be facing what we are facing as a country. The education should go out there. Young girls, if you are not ready, don't go in for it. And also, people who are also willing to adapt, Mr. Speaker, the system is so flexible for them to easily to have these children that they so need. Mr. Speaker, on this note,
I thank you for the opportunity given to contribute to this statement.
One honorable member in front of me. Yes. Yes. After this, we will take the last statement. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to commend my colleague, Honorable Dr. Sandari, for this very important statement. Mr. Speaker, it is not only criminal, but unethical and un-African. And the punishment should be punitive to let people know that we are going is incorrect. Mr. Speaker, the immediate effects when I heard this type of information is that already people are afraid to go to the hospital to go and deliver. I remember a government program where we were even training traditional birth attendants to handle cases at home. And with this type of information, it was quite clear that once again, the Ministry of Health was not going to achieve its targets so far as universal health coverage is concerned. Because people will not prepare not to report to the hospital to deliver, they will wait to deliver at some other places. And we know the effects. Complications during delivery for the mother and for the child, or delivering children have deformities. All these things are going to play back again. In fact, we are being sent back 20 years back to what used to happen those days, in the 90s and in the 80s. But we should make sure that we have a holistic approach in handling this situation. Mr. Speaker, this thing is happening. The stealing of babies. It is happening because there is a market. There's a market. And if we are tackling the situation and we don't trace to get to the bottom of the matter, it will be like cutting a tree in the middle. It will grow again. Yes, I believe that these doctors, these nurses, and all the other people who have been arrested, they are just intermediaries that, yes, they've committed a crime and must be punished. But we should research further and go down to understand and get to the bottom of the matter, and that is getting the market. Those who are buying them, what are they using them? And so this aspect we should also know very well. Then, as my other colleague ended up, in Ghana, if we want to adopt, we have the social welfare. You can go there at any time, look for a baby, and adopt. However, we should also blame the society that we have. Let's be frank, just as we have different faces, our faces are different. The same thing, our reproductive organs are different. Not everybody is born to have children, male and female. Just like how not everybody is born probably to play football. And we have to understand this aspect. Unless we understand this aspect and understand that stigmatized people will lead them to take what? Desperate positions. And when they are so desperate. That is where we have them going to these so-called intermediaries to look for babies, try to arrange their. So we, as a society, we must understand that not everybody is born to have babies. Our faces are different, reproductive organs different, our hands are different, our legs are different. So why do we think that everybody is born to have a baby? Unless we understand some of these things, we will always have some of these extreme steps to have babies taken, and the market will exist, and you will have the operators benefiting from it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Very well. Right Honourable Speaker admitted another statement. The statement is in the name of the Honourable Member for Bole Bamboy, Yusuf Suleimana. Yes, you may read your statement now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity to present a statement on yet the popular subject of the growing incidence of human trafficking in Ghana, which is very similar to what my brother, Honorable Dr. Sebastian, has just presented. From the Human Trafficking Act 2005, Act 694, three main components of human trafficking are discernible: the harvesting or abduction and trading of children, trafficking of persons for prostitution, and trafficking for forced labor. Discussion on the subject, Mr. Speaker, have mostly been specific to one of these components. For instance, Mr. Thomas Nyako Ampim, MP Asojamai, made a statement on the subject in the 7th Parliament, focusing on child labor along the Volta Lake. Outside Parliament, Mr. Speaker, in 2017, Honorable Ablakwa, speaking to Joy News, highlighted the issue of forced labor when he said, I quote, I am still receiving reports on a daily basis of female Ghanaian domestic workers who are subjected to all kinds of abuse, from rape to forced labor. They don't have access to their phones. They cannot call their relatives. They are being treated like slaves. I think it is time for a high-level delegation to leave Accra and visit these countries. Unquote. Mr. Speaker, the object of this statement is to present a more holistic picture on the subject, especially given recent happenings. Mr. Speaker, the Medical and Dental Council and the Organized Crime Office issued a joint statement on January 20, 2021, in which they cited 11 people arrested for allegedly engaging in a baby harvest. The arrested people, who were clearly part of a syndicate, is made up of medical doctors, nurses or midwives, social welfare officers, a traditional birth attendant, and some complicit mothers. These individuals harvested newly born babies from medical facilities across the city of Accra for sale. The investigations revealed that babies were sold between 28,000 Ghana cedi and 30,000 Ghana cedi. Again, Mr. Speaker, on Tuesday, the 26th January 2021, there were media reports of a mother whose supposed dead baby was traced to India. She woke up after a sedated sleep after childbirth to be informed that a baby had died. Some 20 years later, she received a call from an old Indian woman who claimed to have purchased the supposed dead baby. Mr. Speaker, while these incidents are shocking, especially given the caliber of people involved and the elaborate nature of the operations, they form just a fraction of the bigger issue of human trafficking in this country. Act 694 referenced was enacted to aid our fight against this canker, but it is yet to spare any meaningful efforts in this regard. We remain on the Tier 2 watch list of the U.S. human trafficking. Indeed, after seeing statistics in the 2020 Trafficking in Persons report of the U.S. State Department, which provides outlook for 2019, I can tell this House that this situation has only gotten worse and needs to be immediately. Mr. Speaker, the report does not paint a good picture on our performance when it comes to eliminating human trafficking. It notes that of 137 investigations into human trafficking initiated by the security services, involving over 500 victims, only 20, i.e., 15%, involving 33 alleged traffickers, were brought before our courts for prosecution by the state under Act 694. In all, Ghana Police Service prosecutions resulted in only 10 traffickers being convicted in 2019. In respect of child labor, Mr. Speaker, under the Children's Act 1998, Act 560, only 5 child traffickers were prosecuted and convicted in 2019, compared to 14 in 2018. Mr. Speaker, statistics do not paint a good picture on our fight. There are even grimmer stories in our media on the subject. Not too long ago, precisely in March 2020, myjoyonline.com reported the death of a certain Faustina Tay, a 23-year-old Ghanaian girl in Lebanon. Hours before her death, Mr. Speaker, she had shared her desperate message on social media calling for help to escape dehumanizing abuse in the hands of her Lebanese employer. Her lifeless body was found in a car park, having fallen from the 4th floor of her employer's house as she desperately attempted escaping from the abusers. Mr. Speaker, Faustina's story is very sad, yet she is just one of the many ladies trafficked to the Middle East in particular for forced labor and prostitution, a situation that needs immediate resolution. The onus lies with us, the political class, especially the government of the day, to reverse the trend. Yes, government's efforts in negotiating labor recruitment agreements with UAE and Qatar in 2018 and 2019 is commendable, but more is needed. There's an even bigger need to empower the system to vehemently punish traffickers and other perpetrators involved in this ungodly act. To achieve this, in my opinion, Mr. Speaker, government should, improve the capacities of agencies such as the Social Welfare Department, the Secretariat, the Anti-Human Trafficking Unit of the Ghana Police Service, and allied bodies. Reconsider the fines in the sanctions regime in respect of Act 694. Perpetrators, and the regime discriminates between parents or guardians from other perpetrators by allowing parents or guardians complicit in trafficking of their children to be fined. This does not help the fight. Complicit parents must be treated like other perpetrators. In addition, the state must pursue preventive measures which will fully and comprehensively implementing the Ghana National Plan Action for the Elimination of Human Trafficking in Ghana. The plan on prevention, protection, prosecution, and partnership building. Seeking the full implementation of the agreements with UAE and Qatar while negotiating more of such bilateral agreements with other Middle Eastern countries. And then reviewing protocols in our medical facilities to prevent the incidence of child harvesting and trafficking as witnessed very recently. Mr. Speaker, while at it, the system must not fail to cater for victims of trafficking. Government should, increase funding to the Human Trafficking Fund. There's a fund called Human Trafficking Fund. Government must increase, funds into this fund, and that fund must be expanded. This is necessary to be able to provide the required support for trafficking victims. Increase the number of shelters to provide adequate space for housing rescue victims of trafficking. Shelters provide the base for their care and reintegration into society. There will also be facilities where victims that volunteer to testify against traffickers can be housed while the cases are ongoing. Design programs to provide medical screening, psychosocial care, needs assessment, and skills development for victims of trafficking, so as to facilitate their reintegration into the society. Mr. Speaker, this canker of human trafficking is not only humanly abhorrent, but a dent on Ghana's international image. We must address it with all the seriousness it deserves. And I hope this statement will kickstart a more serious conversation in this regard. Right Honourable Speaker, I thank you once again for this opportunity. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Duka. Takan Sahib, is that right?
You are right, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Let me use this opportunity to also commend Honourable Yusuf Suleiman, MP for Bole Bamboy, for raising such a pertinent issue that the shores of Africa over the years. The issue of child labor, Mr. Speaker, is guided by the main international conventions. The International Labour Organization, ILO, Convention number 138, concerning minimum age for admission to employment and recommendation. Convention number 182, concerning the prohibition and immediate action for the elimination of the most forms of child labor, and the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child. Mr. Speaker, it will be important for us to observe that this child labor issue falls within the ages of 5 to 17. And unfortunately, most parents in the deplorable areas depend on this for survival. Mr. Speaker, it is worth noting that UNICEF stated in 2015 this disturbing menace and canker in Ghana specifically, and observed that it is important for us to find ways of curbing it. Unfortunately, it has been trending all these years, though our law or the laws of this country abhor to this menace. Mr. Speaker, it is for us not to traditionally accept this as a norm. Moving through the principal street of Accra, you realize that parents hiding under trees, observing and waiting to receive something from these children, parading around vehicles, soliciting for some kind of money. Mr. Speaker, it is for all of us to address this canker. We need not to tolerate it in the annals of this country. I believe this government has created the opportunity for each and every parent to note and to realize that it's time for us to send our children to school. And that is why we've made secondary cycle education free. Because you go around, you ask a parent, why are your children loitering around? They will tell you, I don't have money to pay the fees. And now that that excuse has been addressed by His Excellency the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I believe there shouldn't be any excuse whatsoever to see these children around or loitering around in this country. Mr. Speaker, if possible, specific enactment must be done to address this canker. And I will challenge this House to wholeheartedly take this matter, as indicated by Honorable Yusuf Suleimana, as a challenge for us to address. On this note, I say it's important for us to check around our areas where we live in our constituencies to find ways of putting together committees that can immediately address this in our respective places. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Member for Karachi, yes, Karachi East, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice to the statement. Mr. Speaker, I think no member of Parliament of this 8th Parliament will condemn people who go around buying babies, contracting people to get babies or to get people to work for them, probably in their farms or wherever. Nobody will support this act. But, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the ordeal, the humiliations these victims pass through, it's just uncalled for. And I want to say that holistically, just like my colleagues from the opposite side have said, that we all come together and with one voice to condemn this and make sure that all our suggestions, recommendations, or all the proposals that we are making to stop this or to bring this to a stop should not be on paper, should not be talking for talking's sake, but rather should be implemented. And I also want to talk a little about people on the river and my advice to some of the security personnel, the institutions that are concerned in the arrest of these victims, that in dealing with such people in their investigations, they should be fair in their dealings. In the sense that you see people on river in the boat, probably with only one boy, his son, that have been with him for several years, then you'll be run up on the river and then send them to cells. And parents going to do the demand for their children, they will be arrested and prosecuted and probably imprisoned. That is why I am saying that our security agents, the institutions that are concerned with the arrest, should be careful and do this with impartial, so that people who are probably not concerned who have not even done anything wrong will find themselves culpable with the law. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. Thank you very much, Very Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the statement made by my senior colleague, and let me for drawing our attention on this important issue at this moment. Right Honorable Speaker, the maker of the statement drew our attention to the fact that child trafficking is becoming a canker that is eating into our fundamental development in our country. Right Honorable Speaker, let me refer to the U.S. Department of State website and go to the U.S. 2020 Trafficking in Persons report for the 2020. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, that report commended government, and permit me to read that portion. That states that the government has demonstrated overall increasing efforts comparing previous reporting period. Clearly shows that government is doing a lot in fighting this canker. However, Mr. Speaker, going into the report, and if you permit me to read, the report stated that, Mr. Speaker, the court sentenced 2 labor traffickers to fines of 3,600 cedis, or 15 months imprisonment if not paid, and 5 traffickers 5 years imprisonment and fines of 600 to 1,400 cedis. Mr. Speaker, I strongly believe if a trafficker is taking $5,000 per person and you are charging him for $1,000 or $640, clearly it's a business that he will continue to do. Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with you that we need, as a house, to be able to come up with a punitive action that will discourage the people who are into this enterprise. Indeed, the maker of the statement stated some aspects or other things that we can do to help salvage this issue. I will also add that, Mr. Speaker, as an honorable house, and where we sit as key stakeholders of various communities, and I believe, Mr. Speaker, that when we also put in some work to discourage these activities, it may go far. Mr. Speaker, I will therefore urge this honorable house that any platform that we may get or we may have, we need to preach against how these traffickers entice our youth with some greener pastures somewhere that they are not known, or they've not seen it before. It is my humble plea, Mr. Speaker, that this house will ensure that a lasting solution is found, such that this time when my senior brother stands on his feet, he is going to commend us for doing a good job. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, Honorable.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to support the maker of this statement, Honorable Yusuf. I am Joseph Kwame Kuma, Kentamponov. Mr. Speaker, I will begin my contribution by letting this House, and we being lawmakers, pay attention to Children's Act 1998, Act 560, which provides for the right of the child and covers issues of parental duties and responsibilities, maintenance, adoption, and fostering. It protects children from exploitation, labor, child marriages, and stipulates responsibilities for care, protection of children. Mr. Speaker, marrying what is happening, this act, to child trafficking parents, and children all have a role to play. Mr. Speaker, what do we find about our society today? Is it a matter of just having children and just going about saying we have children? Are we responsible parents? What penalties are there for irresponsibility? Mr. Speaker, drawing this closer to the issue of people who are selling their children in the various hospitals. Mr. Speaker, I listened to news and commentary done on this issue. One of the explanations was that a mother, a child who is a mother, could not take care, was about pregnancy. And so she was advised by a medical or a worker to deliver and they would take care. That was how come the child ended up being sold to whoever the suspect was. Where is the parental responsibility here? Do we have punitive measures for such people? I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, we must get back to the law and combine efforts, both against children and the parents, for carelessness. Mr. Speaker, it doesn't limit to only Ghana up to date. 29 July 2020, Save the Children came out with a report that 1 in 20 children victims of sexual exploitation worldwide is under 8 years old. It's a serious issue, Mr. Speaker. That there's increase in demand for child pornography. The COVID-19 crisis has also changed the pattern of exploitation, which is now operating less on streets and more indoors or online. We have a lot to do as a country. Mr. Speaker, children make up a quarter of all victims of trafficking or exploitation. With the COVID-19 pandemic, isolating victims further and making it even harder to reach them. A new report by Save the Children's Day. The 10th edition of the report, and I quote, "Little invisible slaves," unquote, highlights that of cases trafficking reported in 164 countries in 2019. That 108,000 cases, more than 2%, involve minors. Mr. Speaker, we can go on and on and on. Mr. Speaker, it's a serious issue that the country must wake up to. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the 21st century Parliament, and for that matter, ours here, we must begin to look for the solutions more than the continuous statements that we have been getting. Because my colleague, Honorable Yusuf, referred to last year a statement at the 7th Parliament, a statement that was made by honorable members. Mr. Speaker, I draw my curtain with to the solution that we should look for solutions and punitive measures for perpetrators. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. That brings us to the end of. Yes, Honorable Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, perhaps you may indulge me a matter I feel strongly about. Mr. Speaker, if you look at Order 72, it refers to, Mr. Speaker, let me quote, by the indulgence of the House and leave of Mr. Speaker, a member may at any time, Mr. Speaker, it goes on and on and on. Obviously, the terms under which this is admitted is within the ambit of Order 72. But what I've realized is that most of our colleagues don't share their statements for members to read and make meaningful contribution. So, Mr. Speaker, I would want to make a strong suggestion that most of the issues raised are for all of us to make meaningful comments. So, in future, this may have to be considered by those who want to make statement. Honorable Atakia has given me a statement on Thursday. At least I will have 3 days to read through. So I think, colleagues, this is my humble suggestion through Speaker to you. Thank you.
Very well. Thanks for the admonition. Yes.
Speaker, I just want to add my voice to what the leader said. Sometimes it's also when the statement is admitted and when you are told that the statement is admitted. So when you don't get enough time to also share it, then it becomes a problem. So if you can put in place some mechanism, then you know that this morning my statement has been admitted, I'll be doing it. Then you can quickly also share it among your colleagues. Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of statement time. Honorable Majority Leader, are we able to do item 5?
Speaker, unfortunately, not be able to handle item 5A and B. The two reports are not ready, so we'll not be able to handle. Speaker, it was intended for us to go into a committee of the whole to deal with the reports from the technical committee on the standing orders. And I have been told that that report is not ready. I hope that we can ready the report tomorrow, for us to be able to go through quickly and possibly to adopt it tomorrow or the day after. And then we'll be ready to compose the committees in anticipation the work of the Parliament Committee the ensuing week. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to the secretaries responsible to endeavor to complete it so that you, as the chair of the small group, will be able to append your signature. So we could circulate them tomorrow, and then we can deal with them either at the Joint Caucus or Committee of the Whole tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, having said so, I would also want to urge that the team from Gucci is here. Again, Mr. Speaker, because of the upsurge of this pandemic, they have to fan out to various places. We have today and tomorrow for members and staff. So all who have not availed themselves yet should submit themselves tomorrow so they'll be able to complete the process. Because if they leave tomorrow, you have to follow up to their own destinations to have yourself tested. Mr. Speaker, let me appeal to colleagues and to the staff who have not yet submitted themselves to do so by close of day tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the technical committee's report, I agree with the leader that if we can get a report late tomorrow, but I also want to appeal that sufficient time is given to members to peruse the report and look at those new or the changes that have been proposed in the report so that when we go into the committee of the whole, we can adequately in the new standing orders. So that is the only issue I think I have to propose in relation to the work of the standing committees. Thank you.
The new standing orders is not on today's order paper, is it? It's proposed for tomorrow that the report will be late. I will endeavor to lay the report, but today I'm being asked by Mr. Speaker to remind members and staff who have not as yet taken the COVID test that we have only today and tomorrow. So please, if there's any one of us here who has not taken the test, please make sure that by the close of day tomorrow, you would have taken the test so that
the team can move elsewhere to undertake it. And thank you very much. It's not 6 o'clock yet, so I think I'll require a motion to bring this to a close.
Speaker, I beg to move that this House adjourns to 2 o'clock tomorrow in the afternoon. That's your move.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to second the motion.
Honourable members, the motion for adjournment has been moved and seconded for the consideration of the House. All in favour of the House adopting the motion, say aye. All against that, say no. The ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned to Wednesday, the 3rd of February, 2021 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.